So today we're going to do a run through of found.ee features. Then we're going to have a little bit of an emphasis on some of the power features today, some of the newer features that have been introduced. Okay, so we're going to do a quick run through of the platform and show you a couple cool little tricks that we see some interesting artists doing out there, and maybe you can pick up on some really cool little tips and tricks today. And we will do a run through of some of our newer features that we have inside of our power tier. So for starters, found.ee was first created so that you could shorten links. And when you shorten these links, you're building a sort of remarketing pixel based link. So as I share this, or as anybody shares one of these links, the person clicking is going to go to whatever the destination is, in this case, iTunes. When the person clicks it, it's going to also fire remarketing pixels. It's going to pull in click tracking data, stuff like where people are clicking from, where they went to, stuff like that as well. And I'll just show you some of those in real life. You'll see people pointing all day on Twitter to different things. A lot of times they're pointing to videos, they're pointing to landing pages, they're pointing to their Apple or their some tickets that are for sale somewhere, stuff like that. And so every one of these clicks, basically, it'll either take you to a landing page that was built on found.ee, like this landing page here, or it'll take you wherever it is that they want you to go, like Apple Music or YouTube or something along those lines. And in this case, when you take somebody or when you drive somebody to one of your landing pages, you are also doing, so you're building out the remarketing audience, but as people then choose, as your fans then choose Spotify or Apple or YouTube, you're sort of self-identifying which platforms they're interested in, which is a pretty awesome. And what that does for you is it helps you build out these remarketing audiences. So if I'm clicking on somebody's Apple Music link, whether it's on a landing page or if it's inside of the, so yes, I will definitely take you through how to build out one of these landing pages, but I want to show you what the point of them is. A big reason why we build these landing pages, we share these landing pages, is so you can build out these remarketing audiences. And for those of you, most of you are undoubtedly familiar with remarketing because you've visited, United Airlines website, and then you see their ads follow you along the internet. That's effectively what remarketing advertising is. And in our case, somebody doesn't have to visit your website. They can just click on one of your links from your Twitter, from your tweets, or from your Instagram bio, or anything along those lines. And that helps you build out those audiences as well. And I'll take you through that in a moment. I just want to show you where these remarketing audiences live. So by default, you'll see a couple of them in your account from the very jump, but you can always build your own audiences. And this can get a little complex, a little fun. You can set up audiences of folks like, let's say, here's an audience. These are people that we've identified as being interested in tickets in London specifically. And so obviously, if you have a ticket, you have a tour in London, or you have to stop in London, you have a show in London, then you can target that specific audience with your remarketing ads and let them know about the concert. And we won't go into how to build those audiences so much today, but unless somebody has a question about that at the end. But let's jump into how to build these landing pages. So I'm clicking on Create Landing Pages from the left-hand nav. I'm immediately prompted with 4 options. And this is just because there are a lot of options in each page type. And so we want to make sure that you have the right settings in front of you effectively. Most people that are running an album marketing campaign, they start with what's called a pre-save page. And we'll probably look at that one next, but there's also a music release page, a timed release page, and a basic page. Basic page really just doesn't have all the settings that a timed release or music release or pre-save page has. It's like if you just want to build a page really quickly, you want to put that page out, you have all the buttons you want to use, then you can build a page really quickly. Here's an example of one of those types of pages. These tend to go into Instagram bio links. This is a single column, sort of center aligned. If it was on mobile, of course, it would be entirely mobile optimized. And jumping ahead a little bit, but I just want to show you one of the really unique value propositions for these landing pages, and that is you can actually add in your Shopify widgets. And for some artists, this becomes the #1 source for e-commerce on an album campaign. So we highly recommend adding your Shopify widget in here if you have some merch for sale, if you're in the middle of an album launch campaign, really if you're selling any kind of products where you have a Shopify store. And of course, you can set up any type of button you'd like, social buttons, you can put in any widget you'd like, but we will jump into that. And actually, let's start with this one, how to build a music release page. So on the left-hand side, you see the sort of WYSIWYG. This is what you see is what you get. And on the right-hand side, there are the options. And so I'm just going to skip ahead. I know that this UPC has an album that's already released, and I need a page. So there we go. We literally just built a whole page simply by pasting in a UPC, clicking search. It adds the background. It blurs it out for you accordingly. It pulls the album art in, even pulls in the artist name and album name. And then here are the songs that it was able to find, the destination URLs it was able to find immediately. You can rearrange these however you'd like, of course. And I don't know, let's say Pandora's coming down, Apple's coming up, Amazon's coming up, whatever works for you. You can also add in additional stores. We have a lot of them that are already pre-built inside of here, but you can always add your own if you'd like to do that. We have these custom buttons as well, so you can add in a concert request or an email capture, and that just puts a one of these subscribe buttons that allows you to capture emails inside of it. And yeah, I would say play around with these. There are a lot of interesting options inside of here. You can create your own. I showed you earlier the custom link. That's like this style where it doesn't have any icons. And you can also add in your social media icons if you'd like, the Twitters and the Facebooks and stuff like that. And then below is where you add in the widgets. Widgets like the Shopify one I just showed you, or bands in town, stuff like that. So I will just add this one inside of here for now. Actually, let's make this one 2 column because you've already seen a 1 column. And I'll leave the background color as it is. Change the font to white. New album. And this is definitely not the right band, but it is immediately available. So I'm just going to grab some embeds really quickly and prepare a page. Great. Now we have a page. It's 2 column instead of 1 column. And we'll take a quick look. And there we go. So this is the 2 column style with a bands in town widget below. Again, you can add in Shopify. You can add entire YouTube video takeovers if you'd like to do that. These are 100% mobile responsive as well. And they actually perform really well. You get a lot of options with these. The click-through rates are generally very strong, and it gives you a lot of room, of course, if you have a lot of stuff to say, if you have a lot of information to put into it. It brings a lot of stuff above the fold, which is generally best practice when it comes to building landing pages. All right. So I'm going to take us out of here for a second. And I think a lot of people are really interested in our pre-save pages. And I will show you these really quickly. So it looks very similar, of course. On the right-hand side is really where you're going to see a lot of the differences. And for this sake, we're just going to pretend that, that this album is not yet out, because this is the UPC I happen to have available. I'm going to say the album is out on the 20th, or let's say the 19th at 10:42 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is defaulted to your local time zone. So if you're in the UK or something, maybe you're making that much earlier or later or whatever it is, depending on the day that you're setting up for. And I'm going to add in the UPC. The artist name is August Burns Red. Icarus is the name of the album. and continue to set up a few other things. So you can add in some optional overrides. This is actually all you need to set up a landing page at this point. The UPC, the date, or if you don't have a UPC yet, the artist name, the album name, and the date. With that combination, you're fine. You're going to be able to set up your pre-save page. The rest of these are if you, they're really built for certain companies that are able to get some of the stuff in advance. Sometimes some folks are able to get the actual album URL long before most other people. So you can override and put that inside of here. You can also add in artists to follow, playlists to follow, stuff like that. But what I want to show you that's pretty unique about found.ee is this. It is that you can also build out singles pre-saves along an album campaign. And for Spotify, which of course isn't really a thing with Spotify itself, but it's a sort of similar concept to the instant grat about how instant grats work with, let's say, Apple and stuff like that. So let's pretend that there is a song that's coming out 9 p.m. on the 15th, and that song is called this song. I could not think of something on the fly. And there's also another song, another single coming out on the 22nd. That one's also 9 p.m. on the 22nd. And that one is called Hear Me Now. That was a decent name of a song. And so when we build this page, let me add a couple other things. I'm going to give this a YouTube video. So I'm going to switch from image. So saw that last time. I'm going to make this a YouTube video instead. And you can upload some album art. I'm just going to use something like this. Don't like that, so I'm going to blur it out a little bit, make it look a little bit cooler. August burns red. Icarus coming soon. And then on the left-hand side, what you see here are the sort of semi-opaque and the fully opaque buttons. These ones, the ones that say pre-add and pre-save, these are going to be visible today. And then these ones are the ones that are going to be visible on release date, basically. And so you can arrange them however you'd like. You can say, okay, cool, I want Amazon to be number 2 on release date. And you can set that up today, basically. But what we'll see today is Apple, Deezer, Spotify as these pre-save options. And of course, we could add widgets in the bottom and social media links and stuff like that. But I'm just going to call this one completed for right now. There we go. And here we go. So as you can see, all of the buttons that we had that were semi-opaque, they're invisible today. And that's because in this setup, this scenario, we're pretending like the album's not out yet. And so you can go through so now fans can go through an Apple Music pre-add or a Spotify pre-save, Deezer pre-save, etc. And when they do so with the Spotify pre-save, they only have to do it the one time. And that's going to work for both of the singles that we set up in advance, and it's going to work for the album itself. So the one pre-save actually works for both singles and the album. You don't have to have people pre-save multiple times. And for a lot of people, this saves them a lot of time, saves them a lot of stress. It makes sure that you are taking full advantage of the fact that your fans want your music, and it makes it easier for them to get it into their library on the night of release, basically. This also helps with the algorithms and stuff that I'm told. So definitely highly recommend that you set up your entire campaign through this. And that's it. So maybe we take a look at a couple others. Well, just some other ones that we've built. But yeah, you can scroll through. If you're looking for inspiration, just scroll through Twitter. You can find all kinds of cool looking landing pages. I don't know what this is. Is this Shopify? Don't know what this widget is. Could be Shopify. Looks great in here, and I'm sure it is helping Andrea sell some merchandise, which is fantastic. Excuse me. So one of the things that we want to jump into today as well is email capturing. This is it's a pretty new feature for us. We've had it for a while, but it's now publicly released, and you can find this in the Power upgrade. I'll show you a couple examples of these, but we'll take a quick look at the WYSIWYG. A lot of these WYSIWYGs that we have internally basically look the same. Everything is basically editable. You can build out something as ugly as this default looks from the jump, or you can make it much, much prettier. I promise, I'll show you. But everything in here is editable. Hey, fans, and then maybe, well, actually, all that looks fine. We'll leave that inside of here. All we would have to do is click add in the domains that you want this to fire on. Select a triggering event. Most artists pick fire before leaving the page. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. And the other thing that they select with this is a frequency cap. And a lot of people don't want this to fire more than once per 30 days. So they leave this on fire before leaving a page and fire once per 30 days. And we'll take a quick look at how some of these look. So this is one of those email capture modals. And it obviously looks much better than the one I just designed. This is a one that was made pretty quickly. Here we go. Here's another one. As you can see, you can make it look like the rest of your website. But let's see how this looks as a triggering event. Okay. Oh, no, this one's set to fire immediately. Let's see. This one. There we go. So you don't see anything firing yet because this trigger is set up as fire before leaving the page. And so, you know, a lot of the emails that you see that the email captures that people typically use are a little more like this. The one that says, you know, enter your email. It's either below the fold or sometimes it's in the top right. Either way, it's you know, sort of static and is in here all the time. These capture okay rates, but this one that I'm now triggering, the platform thought that I was leaving the website, and that's because I was moving my mouse up really quickly to go up to the top right. And in that, it decides to fire before leaving the page, basically. These capture on average at 4,300% higher conversion rates than these ones. So that is to say, we highly recommend that you use these email capture modals if you think that email should be part of your ECRM strategy. And we definitely think email should be part of your ECRM strategy. Let me show you another one that is interesting. So Manchester Orchestra used this one along their album campaign, and you can actually add in embeddable widgets. The embeddable widgets are really interesting because, you know, a lot of times you're going to have a single release with the announcement, or, you know, soon after the announcement, and then a music video not too long after that. Not too long after that. And so you can actually redeploy your email capture modals basically on demand, and you can frequently update which widgets are in there. They use them to premiere this awesome live stream and do all kinds of things with them along this album campaign. But yeah, you can use it for most widgets. You can put in you know, Apple Music widgets and Spotify widgets and stuff like that. And one other really interesting trigger that is completely unique to found.ee, because we have our own data management platform and remarketing system, is you can set these up so you only want to fire a certain modal that is for people that are in the audience of the Apple Music. So when people have self-chosen, you know, to pick Apple Music over Amazon or Spotify or something else, we're building out those remarketing audiences that we talked about in the very beginning. That could be used for remarketing and advertising, but that can also be used as a triggering event for these email capture modals. So you can say, I just want to fire this modal, maybe even just immediately, if they, belongs to the audience. Yeah, you can say, I want to target these people that belong to the Apple Music audience, and I want to make sure that they see one of these Apple Music widgets inside of the modal. And then you can default and you can set up multiple of these. If somebody doesn't belong to a Spotify or an Apple or an Amazon or whatever it is, then maybe you just use the YouTube widget. But that is pretty unique to this. It really helps with album marketing campaigns if you're building out these audiences along the way. Even in between album cycles, you should always be building out these audiences. They will help you when the time comes to actually run an ad campaign. And you can see how some of these artists will use them along the way. They will use them inside of their about sections, their descriptions of videos, their Facebook descriptions, etc. And so every click, it effectively helps you build out this click data. And then, when the time comes, you can launch all these different types of remarketing audiences and advertising campaigns and email capture modals and stuff like that. And since we're in here, I want to show you a little trick that some folks use, which is pretty cool. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and take a YouTube channel URL. And I'm just going to shorten this. Now, I changed it just a little bit. And the way I changed it, it actually leads to these, which pops up the subscribe button right away. These have been shown to be very effective. It's a cool little trick we see a lot of artists do. Sometimes they'll put them into their social media description. Sometimes they actually put them inside of their own YouTube description. And when somebody clicks through them, they're prompted with a subscribe message. And so all we did to make this work is we take the normal channel URL, like that one, and we put this ! sub confirmation into the tail end of it, and then we shorten that into a quick URL. And then when that's shared, it will help you with generating subscribers to your YouTube channel. This works with all kinds of YouTube channels. So it's just a fun little tip and trick. It helps out quite a bit. And as you're building out these audiences and you're building out these your links, for those of you who have Amazon affiliate accounts, Apple affiliate accounts, and so on, we have built a geo version of affiliate IDs effectively. So you can set up your sort of global default affiliate ID. We'll pretend that's mine. But you can also set up the individual ones. So Amazon affiliate IDs, for instance, are individualized. So there we go. And Bermuda, huge audience in Bermuda. And voila. So the way this works is, as one of these links are clicked, as an Amazon link is clicked, if you have it set up, the system will detect somebody, in this case, is in Bermuda. And when it does that, it will ensure that it is going to apply your Amazon affiliate ID for Bermuda. Same thing happens in this case in Australia. It's going to automatically apply the affiliate ID that is associated to your Amazon Australia affiliate. And if they click from anywhere else, and this is set up so far, they're just going to get your default account affiliate ID. Now, so you can build out as many of these as you need to. Or you just, if you don't have multiple, well, you just set up your global basically, and it is all good. And then let's just take one more power setting, and that is custom domains. Don't mind our test account. We have a whole lot of fake accounts, fake custom domains that are set up inside of here. But this is a fairly simple process. So if you have a custom domain, or even just your own domain, like, actually, let me pull that up. So I showed you St. Vincent's website earlier. I'm also going to show you I love St. Vincent. So this is a found.ee link. And St. Vincent uses this in really across all the St. Vincent social medias. So you'll find it in the Instagram bio and all kinds of things. But yeah, if you want to set up your own custom domain, you can do that pretty easily, whether you have your own, you want to buy one that's specifically for this one, or let me just grab that. Or if you already have a domain and you don't want to buy another one, then you just create a subdomain that makes sense for you, link dot or l dot or really anything at that point. And you can click make primary, which I'm not going to do, and you click create. So this can take 48, 72 hours, depending on your DNS, for it to start, depending on your settings, really, for it to start to propagate. There are a couple of things you can do to speed that up, but we have some information about how to do that with 3 different registrars: GoDaddy, Domain.com, Namecheap. They have all made it a little simpler as far as we're concerned than others. So we don't have information on how every one of these works, but you can follow this, and it's generally about the same thing. It's just where they hide the options are a little difficult sometimes. But once you've done this with us, we're basically going to issue an SSL certificate, and we're going to maintain that SSL certificate for you as well. So that means you'll get the HTTPS on the subdomain or on the custom domain that you're using for found.ee at that point. This also helps you with Facebook domain verification, which for a lot of people, this has become a very hot topic. With Facebook, they don't allow you to verify a domain that you do not own. And so, as an example, let's just pretend that it was stvincent.wix.com or something like that. You can't verify that because it's actually owned by wix.com. You would have to verify wix.com. And since you don't own it, you're not going to be able to. But in this case, so if you want to use a custom domain, so that you can verify the Facebook custom domain, then you can just either use your own domain and create a subdomain, or go create a brand new domain specifically for use like this. And let's see how this all comes together. Oh, no, I got to show you one more thing. So we're also going to show you designing playable banners. For some folks, if you don't have the Photoshop skills, or really just don't have the time, and frankly, we'll give you another reason. If you are promoting Spotify, music on Spotify, or music on Apple Music or SoundCloud or YouTube, this is an incredibly effective ad unit. And it works very much like the other ones that we looked at. So we're just going to give it a quick name, August Burns Red. And funny enough, you can upload background images if you'd like, but they actually don't perform as well on average as just using plain backgrounds, which is great. Icarus out now. And let's say stream. Let's line that up a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to grab something. Oops, where did this go? Again, definitely not the actual right album, but that's okay. And we'll put the song inside of here. We'll call this August Burns Red album out. And voila, we're done. Oops, nope. Not going to upload a background image. We are done. You take a quick look at what this is going to look like, and I will show you. The rest of this is just about the preview, but this is the actual player that we just designed. Oops, this is a player we just designed, and it has an actual functional Apple Music widget inside of it. Same thing can work with YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and a few others. And these get amazing click-through rates. I think it's because they look very organic to a lot of people. They don't look like an sort of like intrusive ad. They look like you're providing people with media, and you are. By the way, if I'm logged in, I'm on a Windows machine. I am a YouTube Music user, not an Apple user for the most part. But if I was logged in to Apple Music, that would also be a full stream, which is fantastic. So you can put your whole 4-minute song into that widget. And let me show you how this all comes together. So as we looked at earlier, if you're building out links or landing pages and people are choosing to click on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever else it is, we're going to pull those folks into audiences for you. And in this case, since I just made an Apple Music banner, I'm going to show you this. Apple Music ad, and we'll give it any sort of date range, say tomorrow's the 31st. Total budget. As you can see, it actually starts to break out your daily budget for you, and you can see a sort of what looks like a sort of insertion order forming on the right-hand side. In this case, I'm going to target, let's say, the whole United States. really our filter, our targeting, in this case, we want to target the people that we know have actively engaged our Apple Music links, whether for pages or links or whatever it is. And so I'm leaving the Apple Music on, but of course I have a lot of different audiences in here. You can add more if you'd like. You can even expand these quite a bit. We have a lot of really interesting behavioral, lifestyle, demographic, contextual, even television advertising targeting as well, which is all very interesting. The kind of shows that people watch. A lot of this comes from like a lot of this data comes from AT&T, Distillery, a few other places. But in this case, I'm going to keep it pretty pure. We, again, set up a $500 budget, targeting the United States. We are specifically focused on our Apple Music remarketing audience. I'm not going to add anything else. And where might we want to send people? Let's just say this is the URL here. And I can either browse and upload some images if I want to do that, if I want to use like a GIF or a static banner or something along those lines. Or I can grab the HTML5 ad we just created in a couple of seconds. And there you go. So now we have a full remarketing advertising campaign. The remarketing advertising campaign would target our audience that we've built that have shown an interest in Apple Music. And when we put music in front of, when we put anything in front of them, they'll be able to play music with just the first click, instead of a click from a static banner that goes to a platform and then a login and then so on. This removes so much friction that the click-throughs to streams are much, much more impressive. And and yeah, that would be it. You can even, we made this pretty mobile optimized. You can literally set this up from your cell phone if you want. There are very few fields, and the system will automatically optimize itself for you. And I think I'm seeing some questions form on the left-hand side, but I'm not totally sure. Rebecca, do you want to take me through some of these questions that I should be answering?
Yes, absolutely. So we've had a few questions come up. I've been answering questions in the chat as well, but there's some really good ones. So our first question is from Richard, and it is, if you're a digital marketer and you sell services and products but don't need landing pages, but you want to remarket to various audiences using this platform, will Found.ee still work?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, let's, well, doesn't really matter where you point people. Let's pretend it's Shopify. So instead of building a landing page on the dashboard, this is our sort of command console. We just take whatever the URL is that we're pointing people to. Maybe it's an Amazon, product URL, or it's a Shopify store, or your own store, or whatever it is. You can click shorten, and voila. And so when you share this link, the same way anybody shares any of these links, whether it's a link that points off to YouTube, or a link that points off to a store, or to a ticketing platform, or whatever it is, the engagements will still build you that click data effectively. And so you can fire these remarketing pixels, and then you can set up and run a remarketing campaign. It can get a little, so you can get very granular. So if you wanted to do that, maybe we would say, let me go grab that link really quickly. I just want to target these folks specifically. Maybe it's a really specific advertising campaign or something that you're doing. My specific use, here we go, Shopify store. And so what we're going to say is, in this case, location URL equals this, and then click create. And so these engagements are going to pull into an audience that you've just created called my specific use, or whatever you want to call it. Description is optional, of course. And now every one of these engagements, it automatically segments for you. You can even do things like the Shopify.com. You could say any of my links where the destination contains the URL Shopify.com. And so then, if you have multiple Found.ee short links that point to Shopify, you don't have to make an audience for every single one of them. You just say that I want to segment these audiences based on when somebody clicks through a Found.ee short link that takes them to Shopify. And so this would be your sort of Shopify catch-all at that point. Then, of course, the other thing you can do is you can grab your pixel from inside of Found.ee under Manage Pixels, and that's this. You can put this into your website, into your Shopify, into your Bandzoogle account, into all kinds of different places. And this goes into your body, sort of like your Google AdWords pixel would. And that'll build your remarketing audience basically directly inside of your website at that point. And this is the same pixel, by the way, that you would use to deploy your email captures. So once you install it once, all you have to do is you do the rest of the setup inside of here, and you're good to go. I see a question, something about, talk about the links being used on Facebook. I've seen them attach people's names, so whatever they post on Facebook, the link is right there attached. Yeah, a lot of people will use them as their Facebook status update. You know, when they're making an album announcement, when they're telling people to go to a store or ticketing or wherever. They don't attach to anybody's user IDs or names or anything like that. We don't pull that kind of data. We pull, our data is really anonymized. It really is based on intention. So if somebody is clicking on a link from your Facebook and they're going to, let's say, Ticketmaster, we know that, or you would know at that point, they're interested in you, your music, and they're interested in your tickets. And so you can build an audience like that, but it would not come with your user ID or anything along those lines. Rebecca, is there another one I should go into? I'm seeing new ones pop up. Okay.
More. So since we're on the subject of pixels, we have another question. As a label, can we use this for multiple artists with individual tracking pixels for each artist?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple different ways that our system works, which is it's designed to be really, really flexible. So I didn't get into that so much because we have so many folks from different types of companies on here, but you can actually build out for free different accounts for all of your artists. So the way a lot of labels will use the platform is they will have their sort of control console, you know, their label account, and then they build out artist accounts so they can easily, you know, switch in and out of their artist account. So they keep their data separate. Oops, got a lot of stuff there. They keep their data separate and they build their audiences in their respective artist accounts at that point. But yeah, you can also add in as many additional pixels as you'd like. Let's say manage pixels. I have a bunch of sort of placeholder pixels in here. All you do is you paste here, and then it would just be, you know, your pixel, whatever the pixel ID is. And now all the links and pages and stuff like that, they're going to fire all the pixels you've associated to that account. But yeah, the way that a lot of people use it is they really just build out individual artist accounts pretty frequently. It makes it incredibly simple to keep your data separate, your credit card separate if you're running an ad campaign, you know, to do invoicing and stuff like that. There is another really interesting thing that some people use this for, and that is so they can say, they can share audiences across accounts, basically. So they can click on one of these here, and they type in the email account or the user ID to the other person, to the other user account, and give it a date range. This is the date that it will be available in their account. And then they click share, and now that other account can use the remarketing audience for an ad campaign. That can be really effective if you have, let's say, featured artists, and you know, one of the featured artists also uses found.ee. They have an audience, but maybe you're working on behalf of the label that you know, put the album out, and so you want to just borrow that audience so you can, you know, make sure that it works for that you're connecting and getting the ads in front of your fans, but also the featured artist fans. And then we set up a lot of safety mechanisms in there. You actually can't do anything with that data except for run a remarketing campaign. So, you know, let's say Facebook or Google or whatever, there's nothing to export, nothing to download, there's nothing to replicate. You can literally just click on reach and then run an ad campaign. So you know what the audience is, you know what the size is. But we made it to where the audiences can be shared very, very privately. Let's see.
Awesome. That is great. Thank you. We have got a question from Tom.
Okay.
Next. So what are the limitations or constraints in create audience rules and groups of rules? So will found.ee capture any user who satisfies the rule requirement? For example, if I made an audience where the destination URL is my website homepage, will it remember everybody? Part of my confusion may be that I thought you had to create a foundy short link and that they have to click one of the foundy links to be captured in that audience.
Yeah,
Awesome. And
great question.
That is
sounds like you're really digging into remarketing audiences. And the short answer is nothing has to, the engagements don't have to take place on or through a foundy link. So if the pixel's on your website, if you own iamtom.com, I'm going to say I want to just target all the folks that have come to Tom's site. You would say that the location URL, and there's some information in here, by the way. iamtom.com. The location URL, I would say contains, unless you just want it to be on the homepage. URL contains iamtom.com. And so now if somebody goes iamtom/store, iamtom/music, iamtom, etc., then it'll automatically segment in that audience for you. And then you can do interesting things with that. Like, let's say you want to build an audience that, if you want to build an audience of people that are, in your London ticketing audience, and they must be inside of another segment. Well, it was website or whatever it is, official artist website. Then you can combine those at the end of that as well. Can we track calls like a telephone number HTML tag? That's a great question. I have not seen that use case. And Eddie, I hope you try and you let us know. Some of how we figure out how some of this works is through our clients, our users. They're using the platform in interesting ways. I've not seen that use case on this. Now, it's not like a dynamically, it doesn't generate dynamic phones for conversion tracking or anything like that. I suppose if the receiving end can click on the telephone number through one of these links, then our system would track them for sure. So yeah, I don't know for sure. I haven't seen that use case. I have worked with dynamic phone numbers for conversion tracking in the past, and now you've got me very curious, Eddie. So please do let me know.
Questions for now. But if anyone has anything else, please feel free to throw it in the chat. Okay, yeah, so from Tom, did you say you have to have the Foundy pixel installed on any website that are using to create the audience?
No, Tom, just any place. Well, if you own the website, it's good to put the remarketing pixel on there. Yeah. Because then you can track people that are just engaging directly on the website. But if you're driving somebody, let's say, to Spotify, you don't own that, of course. And so the way that you points people from your Facebook to Spotify, or something along those lines. And in that engagement where somebody clicks on the Foundy short link that redirects to Spotify, then you can build out an audience that says, okay, target people that have gone to, yeah, we can do that for you automatically, of course. Or you can set that up specifically and say, the destination URL equals or contains Spotify at that point. But we can definitely, Rebecca, maybe it's good to set up one of these based on just remarketing audience at some point.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. So yeah, Tom, the big thing here, I see you've got the question about, does it need to be a Foundy short link or can it be a website? The big thing is you just want the user to be tracked by the Foundy pixel. So however that happens, whether it's an interaction on your website or they click a short link, it doesn't matter, but we just have to collect the information. So the more places that you can use your Foundy short links, the more places you can install your Foundy pixel, the bigger the audience you're going to track. Yeah, and I can, well, if there's any other questions while I try to look for an example, then I will tell you. Let's see. So I just clicked on this Twitter link, or tweet. There we go. I clicked on the tweet, the link that points to Foundy, which took me to ctickets.us. The company that's promoting here, Lights All Night, they don't own this website, so it's very that they have not to this link.
to this page. So what they do is they would build the audiences from the clicks directly on here instead. So yeah, either or works. We do have a lot of marketing material. Sorry, Tom, we do have a lot of materials on this as well. So generally, each page has like a how to get started, or a video comes with it, and go through and take a look at a lot of this. We're actually bolstering our online guides and materials now as well. So if you are signed up on the newsletter, we'll definitely let you know as more materials come down the pipeline. And yeah, feel free to start playing with the audiences as well, and see which ones work for you. The other cool thing is that you can carve these audiences up later. So if you have 1 million people in an audience and it's just your total audience, and later you're like, wait, a lot of people /store, and I don't have an audience for that. You just come in and you build that out later, and it actually just carves up the whole. So it's pretty useful in that case. You don't have to necessarily do it all in advance. We'll probably try to edit out some of these areas where we lost connection and make a video recap and get this out to everyone as soon as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, you might have cut out there. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
but yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. This has been really great. We'll of course be sending out a link to the webinar, as well as kind of some highlights maybe in our newsletters. But it was so great to see everyone in here and participating.
Thank you, everyone.